I'd like to talk to you about distant healing. When I went to the sanctuary in Guildford where Harry Edwards had worked for many years, there was a long table. It must have been 15 feet or more long, and it had, and quite wide, and it had rows of like Holrith cards. Remember, like the like small cards about 4 inches by 6 inches, one after the other through all these rows like that. And you could pick them up and look at them. It's where someone had written in asking for distant healing. And then someone told me at one stage there were 2 million cards. And paradoxically, when I went there last, no one could remember the cards ever being there. No one knew that they'd ever, where they were or anything about them. Sic transit gloria. But at the time when I was there, they said that's every day he would pray over the cards and send distant healing all around the world. And apparently got some very wonderful results, as you would expect. I'm not here to prove or eulogize about distant healing, which I firmly believe in, but just to tell you a story or two and to tell you my particular quandary at the moment. There are a number of 10 o'clock at night distant healing world communications. One used to be the old Alice Bailey one, used to go off at 10 o'clock at night. There's another one, a world peace one. And then there's one that the doctors Lang have. They know of William Lang and his son Basil Lang, who are both in spirit as doctors, as they were in life. And it says, wherever you are, when it's 10 o'clock, tune in on the meditation. Say, well, wait a minute, 10 o'clock here in New York is 3 o'clock in the morning there. And they say, no, the spirits don't know that. I mean, you just tune in 10 o'clock wherever you are. They will adjust the date, the times. Don't worry about that. And so I try whenever I can at 10 o'clock at night to tune in. If I can't, then I often say, well, if they can tune in at 10, they can tune in at 11 as well. So I do it then. And does it make any difference? I don't know. I suspect so. I certainly can sometimes feel like a real boost as it seems to come in. Now, a psychic friend of mine keeps used to keep a book in which he wrote all the list of the names of the people who had asked him for distant healing. When do you take someone out of the book? How long do you keep them in the book? So I used to have a book, and it got bigger and bigger, and it didn't seem to be particularly valuable, because it also meant I had to sort of stop the meditation to turn to the book, rather than just holding it in my hands or something. So what I do now every day is I go through the various countries and think of as many people as I can. I have a sort of whole list in my mind, country by country. I go through and I have a certain affirmation that goes with it. And I'll tell you what it is. For a start, I say, I open my heart for the Spirit to pass on to those who want healing through me. And I go through the countries, starting with Russia, Greece, Germany, Spain, England, Ireland, and so on. And usually by name. And then at the end, and I say, in all those who read me or want to read me, who hear me or want to hear me, or see me or want to see me in order to be healed through me. And I sort of, as it were, broadcast this energy for what it's worth. Sometimes I get very positive feedback from people. Usually I get nothing. But I do that every day. Now, the question becomes, when do you take somebody off the list? Suppose someone says, I'm never coming back. I never want to see you again. Is that when you take him off the list? Or is that when you put him on the list even more? Because it's only his negativity, so I delude myself, and his desire to die, which is stopping him wanting to come back to see me, as it were, to be on the list again, or whatever. You understand? Harry Edwards used to say, you should only send energy, be it personal or at a distance, to someone who asks for it. If you see someone collapse on the street, you can render first aid, but you don't send them energy because they haven't asked for it. He said, or if someone else intercedes on their behalf, if someone's unconscious and the wife calls or something, but you just can't go around and say, oh look, he's sick and he is sick, okay, I've cured the whole bus. You know, you can't, it's not, as he would say, it's supposed to be. There's got to be someone asking. So my question is, suppose there's somebody I've seen some time ago and I put him on my list, I send him energy every day, and I don't hear from him for a few months. Do I take him off the list? Or is that the reason to keep him on even more? Suppose I hear he's going to another doctor. Is that a reason to take him off the list? Or to put him on even more and even more again, particularly if I know who that doctor is in some instances. Yeah? So, and if we say that it is all guidance, should I ever take anyone off the list? Because whatever they're doing, including not coming, is also guidance, as is my sending energy to them or not. So, there's a man who came to see me about 6 weeks ago. So I put him on my list. I thought about him every day, sent him energy. Don't hear from the guy. He's supposed to come back in 2 weeks. I don't bloody well hear from him. So I debated this morning. So I got a bit miffed. He hasn't. You know, he's never called back again. He was supposed to come back in 2 weeks. He hasn't. Oh, no. All right, I'll keep him on the list. Today he called up for an appointment. Now, let's talk about the god of medicine, Asclepius. He had 5 children. 2 of them were men who were both in the Trojan War, allegedly. And if there was a Trojan War, which I think there was, they were both in the Trojan War, and one of them was said to have been one of the warriors that was inside the Trojan horse. But as one writer says about them, one was really like a surgeon and the other was more like an internist or a physician. Now, what about the girls? There were 3 girls. One was called Lasso, as we spell it, Laso, which means the healer. One was Hygeia, who was said to be the personification of health. And the third was Panacea. Now, Pan means all, and Sia comes from, Asia comes from the Greek akos, which meant cure. So it meant she who cures all, especially through herbs, but she who heals all. She who heals all. She who is all healing. All hyphen healing. Not healing all hyphens, but all hyphen healing. Now, if we are going to be all healing, like really healing, then we have to be, as it were, open to healing all. To be all healing, no hyphen, you have to be all healing with a hyphen. To give all of yourself to heal this person, you have to be a panacea. You have to be all healing to all people. As soon as you restrict, you see, here I'm meditating, I say, you know what? I'll send energy to that guy, but not to that swine of a wife. Look at what that bit. Never, never. As soon as I do that, I'm no longer all healing. All healing with and without the hyphen. You understand? So as soon as you apply judgment, this one I will send healing to, this one I won't, then I think that restriction that you apply applies to the very person in front of you. So it doesn't mean you have to go through every phone book in the world and put your hand on it and say, I want to send all of them healing. But it does mean that we mustn't restrict in any way. If suddenly you feel, you know, I really am thinking about these poor people in Indonesia, in India, in Rwanda, whatever comes to you, whatever comes to you, but on your part, with no restriction. It doesn't mean you have to heal the whole world, or you know, send out to the whole world, which is a little bit extreme. But you mustn't restrict anybody from that list. I'll put her on this, but not him. He's an alcoholic. You can't do that. You understand? So it's not how far you spread your net, as it were. It's whether you're restricted in any way. That's what matters. It's only when you don't restrict it that you can apply all healing to each person who comes to you, to all the people who come to you. To be all healing, you have to be all healing. Right? Be a panacea. Be a panacea. And I don't know whether you can really be truly healing if you're not all healing. Because as soon as you hold back, then you're not really healing. Because remember, the origin of heal is the same as the origin of whole, of all. As soon as you restrict and you're not giving all of yourself, then you're not really healing. So, I don't know what to say in terms of Harry Edwards. He says, you have to be asked. Yes, but I think a person can ask by not asking, can ask by refusing to ask. That's just as asking. It's not quite as simple as he seemed to make it out to be. I don't think it's quite that simple. But what we do know is that when he was with the person, all those people, with every one of them, he gave of his all. By that I mean he was all open for the energy to come through him. And that's what matters. So it's got to be without restriction.